Hi, my name is Sharon and I'm doing this video of my experience so far of having an acoustic neuroma in my left ear, and today's date is the 4th of July 2020, and it's one day after my stereotactical radiotherapy at the O'Brien Lifehouse Hospital in Sydney, which is a centre of excellence. I couldn't have the treatment in my own hospital. I've gone through breast cancer, mastectomy, chemo, reoccurrence, lumpectomy, reconstructions, as well as radiotherapy. So this is specifically for acoustic neuromas with stereotactical radiotherapy. It's not surgery. My original tumour was discovered in mid-2017, and it was very small, and then in April 2018 I had an MRI at my local hospital, and it was 3 millimeters, and I was told to go to a neurologist, and he said it's only 3 mils, let's see what happens. He gave me the options of, if it grows, I might have hearing loss, surgery, as well as stereotactical radiotherapy. So he said just to monitor it and to come back in 2 years. So I came back in 2 years and had another MRI in April 2020, and it had grown to 6 mils, and it was pressing on the hearing nerve, which is the balance as well, and the facial nerve, which is the 7th cranial nerve. The 8th cranial nerve is the vestibulocochlear nerve. So he said, the neurologist said to have stereotactical radiotherapy, which is like sub-millimeter accuracy radiation that will pinpoint onto the tumour, and it was benign, which was good. And I had no symptoms whatsoever, no hearing loss at all. I had a hearing test in April this year, and I had a slight, at 6 kilohertz or something, a dip down, but really fine for a 57-year-old. So I'm going to give you some tips on what's happened, and some research that I did, as well as some imagery, just to help anyone that's about to go through or is going through this, just to help you. And obviously I'll try and do some updates of videos as and when, and I'll give you what's happened in the last 24 hours since I had it yesterday. Okay, so tip number 1, some of these are a bit basic, but that's okay. Tip number 1, do some research online and ask lots of questions with your neurologist, your oncology radiologist, and I can't see this one. I'll get to this in a minute about being prepared on the day for the radiotherapy. So we'll get to number 2 in a minute. But here's the research that I did. So I'm going to take the iPad and just show you my laptop. Okay, so this is a website. I don't know if you can see it. Yeah, which is the Acoustic Neuroma Association, and it has lots of information. Oh, sorry. It's a bit difficult, sorry. You have to put it down there. With what is an acoustic neuroma, diagnosing symptoms, side effects, keywords, and over here is treatment overview, observation, radiation, which I looked up, and surgery. And then also on this they have learn, what is an acoustic neuroma, diagnosis, symptoms, side effects, treatment options, and then community is really good, patient stories, which is quite good, and I went to and found out Mark Ruffalo. Now, Mark Ruffalo is an American actor, and he had an acoustic neuroma in 2001, and it's a 20-minute video of what happened to him. He had to have surgery because his acoustic neuroma, I'll show you an image of it, was the size of a walnut, it's like golf ball, yeah? And he had to have the surgery, and he lost hearing to his left ear permanently, and he had some facial paralysis which came back after a year. Okay, so with mine, okay, so here's the picture of the ear, okay, and if I come out, oh, this is a bit difficult. There's the ear, the canal, the cochlea, and then these are the two nerves, which is the vestibular nerve and the acoustic nerve, or the cochlear nerve. Cochlea means shell, and these two are components of the one nerve, and the vestibular is for balance, and the acoustic or the cochlear nerve is for hearing, okay? And there's also, that's the 8th nerve, there's 2 compartments, and if you go to a website called, I'll just go up here, it's called the, what are the 12 cranial nerves, sorry, yep, and it has an image of the 12 cranial nerves, sorry, there, and they go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 is the facial, and the 8th is the vestibulocular, which has 2 components. And if you scroll down to number 7 is the facial. It has the muscles, obviously, for facial expression, glands, and sensation of taste. And the 8th cranial nerve is the vestibulocular nerve, or the vestibular with the acoustic or cochlear nerve, and it has the 2 parts, the component with balance, and the other component is to do with sound. So with mine, okay, when I had my 2018, just there, can you see that? I don't know if you can see it clearly. 2018 April, it was 3 mils, and over here in 2020 in April, it's 6 millimeters, and it's pressing on the 7th and 8th cranial nerves, which is the facial and the hearing. And then in June of this year, it increased from 6 mils to 9 mils. So that's a 50% increase in size, which is quite a lot in just 2 months, okay? And this is the radiation from the CAT scan on the 16th of June. Okay, so the orange line in the middle is the tumour, 9 millimeters. The green is the high dosage of radiation, which goes neatly around the tumour. The dark blue is the margins of the low dosage of radiation. And can you see this light blue image here? That's the cochlea. So the cochlea has an element of low dosage of radiation. Okay? So back to me. So I had the CAT scan, and they made a mask for me, and this was molded onto my face like so, and then had a backing, all right, which went like that, and then they locked me in with bolts before they put the radiation on me, okay, and I had to remain still. So the other tips I've got for you is clothing. On the day of your stereotactical radiotherapy, make sure you're not wearing something high neck or like a zip that zips up, because after the mask they can put something over the top of you which can press on your chest, So being asthmatic, I actually took some Ventolin beforehand. And if you've got like a headache, it's always good to take some Panadol. Someone mentioned Valium, but I didn't take any Valium. It wasn't really suggested, but to keep you still. But I have read it. You can take it. Now take off all earrings, all glasses, headbands, necklaces, piercings. Okay, and because I've got long hair, they had to pull it up into a like a netting, because the mask had to be free from any hair. Okay. Now I have a back problem, so I took a cushion because I was told that there was no padding on the board where I was to lay down before having the radiation. So I took a cushion, and that really helped. And the Ventolin, obviously I didn't get anxious or have an asthma attack, because you do have to keep still. Now what I did was, another tip 3, I brought my iPad with music on it and a little portable stereo, just to make the volume a bit louder. And so I had I'm a Christian, so I had some Christian praise music, like the Australian Blessing. The Blessing Australia. It's on YouTube. It's a great song. Came from America. And I also downloaded some songs for the radiologists so they could hear the music as well, like Nutbush City Limits, Uptown Funk, put a ring on it, so they made it, enjoyable for them as well. I've mentioned the pain relief. Now, how to keep really still. Thankfully, for the half hour that I was supposed to get the treatment, there was one break where I was able to get up and take the mask off, but they sort of stopped and started. So you can sort of rest. It's not a continuous 30 minutes of being zapped. I had 4 sessions of being zapped, as in 4 moments, but just one. It actually ended up being 1 hour, because they had to adjust the bed as well as the machine. So it took twice as long, but it was only about 30 minutes of being zapped, but it was an hour on the board. And so the music really helped, and the Ventolin calmed me down, obviously in prayer. So that's tip number 5. Number 6, make sure you go with somebody, or they take you, or you can drive, whatever, get there, but don't drive home yourself after the radiation. It's not recommended. And I found that within an hour, I started to get tinnitus and a bit of throbbing in my left ear. Now, the side effects, the ringing in the ears and fatigue. It's got a U on it. I had that after an hour of treatment, and we had to drive back from Sydney to my hometown, and I had tinnitus going to sleep. I had to have a rest in the afternoon, and that sort of helped. But I've still got tinnitus now after 24 hours. It's like it's the ringing, like a beam of ray, sort of sound. Tinnitus can be whistling, ringing, can be music, apparently. And there's no cure for it, but I believe it's just the damage done by the radiation on the hearing nerve, the vestibular or acoustic nerve. I was a little bit woozy going down steps, but I was able to drive one day later, and I've got no facial problems whatsoever. But obviously record your post-treatment info, because I've got a follow-up appointment in a couple of weeks' time with the oncology radiologist. It's benign, the acoustic neuroma. And obviously, if in doubt or if you've got serious pain, then contact your specialist. Now, the recommendation is to continuously be monitored. Every year, get an MRI to see if the tumour has stopped growing. Apparently with stereotactical radiotherapy, the radiation affects the DNA in the tumour cells and stops it from growing, but it doesn't reduce it apparently. Just to monitor that it doesn't begin to grow any further, because you might need surgery after that. But I was told, even though mine was only 9 mils, if I had surgery, I would have lost my hearing. So I know in some hospitals you can preserve the hearing. It depends on the size of the tumour. So that's day 1, okay, after the surgery. So hopefully that's helpful for people. Okay. I might do a follow-up in a while, but I'll put some of the links in the description to help you. Bye. Thanks for listening.